Ladies and gentlemen, a few important things to discuss today. There's a lot of concern right now on the 2-week RSI. People are beginning to notice that the 2-week RSI reached a level that seems like it could have been, the top of the bull market, right? Similar levels were reached in 2021, back here in 2018, back here in 2014, and all of those times it led to the top. So what is the qualm there? Why do I not necessarily agree that that is indicative of a bull market top? We'll look into the monthly chart RSI as well, and then we'll look into the actual important price action, right? The more immediate term stuff. Bitcoin, of course, is on the edge of a cliff right now. And if you don't know that, I'm going to make you very aware of it in this video. We cannot afford to move down much more on Bitcoin, basically at all. And that, again, is related to the RSI. This time, the weekly RSI, which is testing and very much on the brink of a cliff. Look, and if we look at the weekly close we saw just yesterday, 6 hours ago, we had a bearish engulfing candle on the weekly. So very concerning stuff going on across these charts, and we'll look into short term as well, and we'll briefly dive into Ethereum. But very RSI heavy video today, and just asking the question, what's going on with Bitcoin here? Is there genuine concern to be had? And the answer, in my opinion, is yes. I think there is genuine concern to be had. I don't think anything's confirmed yet. I think we still are in a macro bull market. We're not, confirmed to be bearish, but a lot of ththings are, putting us in danger right now. And that's where I can best describe what Bitcoin is doing. We're in danger, and obviously we need to get out of danger. And I'm going to outline the steps Bitcoin needs to take in order to do that, and whether it's likely to do that or not. Right? Let's get into it. Before we do that though, just a quick couple of things here. The Bingx and Bitunix exchanges are the two exchanges I advertise on this YouTube channel. The referral links are down below in my pinned comment and description. You can find those referral links, click on them, and go and sign up. If you sign up using my referral link, you'll get a 15% trading fee discount for life on either of these exchanges. These are both global non-KYC. They've both never been hacked before, and they're both lower than their trading fee competition. So other exchanges have higher trading fees than both of these exchanges on average. So take your pick, Bingx or Bitunix. Use my referral link down below. Let's get into the content. Starting off with the unique content, because I have discussed the weekly chart before, I've discussed the pressing situation of the weekly chart RSI before. I still think it is the most important thing, so definitely stick around for it. But seeing as I've discussed it before, let's start off with the more unique stuff here. Now, right now, a lot of people are making arguments that the weekly chart, or the 2-week chart, I should say, RSI has reached a top, and that is indicative of the March top and being the actual top on Bitcoin. So they think we're going to be seeing a bear market now, and they think the 2-week RSI highlights that reality. Now, on surface glance, it does look like that could be the case, right? I don't think it's the case. I'm going to tell you why in a second. But if you look at it just from a glance, okay, look, yeah, there is kind of like a descending resistance line here. Historically speaking, if we're looking at where the price chart has hit these tops on the 2-week RSI, a top was hit over here, a top was hit over here, right, top was it over here, another one over here, marking the first top of 2021, and another one right here. If you look at where I've circled, those are, of course, right now as we speak, those are, of course, all of the macro tops. It didn't quite catch the second top in 2021, but neither did a lot of things. Neither did Pi Cycle, for example. But for the most part, the 2-week RSI, if we've used that yellow descending resistance line, is quite accurate. And that does make a lot of people concerned. They're looking at the situation now, the March 2024 top, they're seeing the 2-week RSI reach that level, and they're thinking, wait a second, this has led to a macro top in all other cycles, literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times straight consecutively, with very little room for error besides 2021. And they're seeing, okay, well, who's to say this isn't the top now? And a lot of people are flipping bearish because of that. Now, there's two problems here. I see two problems. In fact, I see 3 problems here. I just thought of another one off the top of my head. The first problem is we can't be flipping bearish based on an RSI retest. We have to actually wait for downside confirmation. And so we have to wait for the macro structure itself to break, right? That's just a little note there. This breaks, therefore we can say the top is in. We can't say the top is in before this breaks because the macro structure through which we saw the top, the alleged top, is still intact, okay? You haven't seen confirmation of anything yet. That's the first point. But the second point's more directly attacking this argument. Point 1 is a little vague, but here's where we get into, what do I mean by it? Well, okay, let me just fucking retrain my voice to actually speak English. Okay, here's the second point. The second point is we had a massive run up, and that run up, as we know, was exacerbated by the ETF release, right? First and foremost, the ETF hype, the release itself, and then the existence of the ETFs and the initial inflows, the massive inflows that occurred during early this year, led Bitcoin to go upwards way faster than expected, way too soon, okay? It went up very, very high and way sooner than expected. I mean, we know this already. A lot of people know this already. We've been talking about it for a long time. Historically speaking, there is 1,100 days from when Bitcoin reaches an all-time high to when it breaks back above that all-time high in the next bull market. This time it only took like 800 days, right? We were 250 days, almost 300 days ahead of schedule. And the reason for that was because of the ETF. We moved too fast in one consecutive move. And obviously, if you're going to see an over-exacerbation to the upside, momentum indicators such as the RSI are going to reflect that over-exacerbation. So I think that this, in a regular cycle, may have been a justifiable line to mark where the top would be. But given the fact we overextended to the upside, I think we reached it way too soon. And I don't think it's actually indicative of the broader market top. I think it might just be a kind of mistranslation of the over-exacerbation to the upside we saw. But, you know, point three, I suppose we can argue it more directly, is I think there's more important charts from the 2-week charts. The 2-week chart is important, okay? But it's way less important, both in magnitude, which is shown by time frame, and in how many people watch it, than the monthly chart. The monthly chart is much more important than the 2-week chart. And what we see is that just like the 2-week chart has a descending line of the RSI that marks macro tops, right? The monthly chart has the exact same line, okay? It marked the same amount of tops that the 2-week chart marked. It marked the top here, marked the top here, here, right? All the same tops with all the same inconsistencies and consistencies were marked on the 2-month RSI, on the 1-month RSI, then on the 2-week chart. And on the monthly chart RSI, which is a more important chart with the same exact trend, we did not reach a top here. We did not test that resistance line. So it seems like a bit of a cherry pick to sit here and say, oh, look, the 2-week chart marked the top, when the much more important monthly chart with literally exactly the same resistance line did not mark the top. It seems like a cherry-picking data, there's a bit of bias there. And that's one of the reasons why I'll refer you back to the first point I made. We certainly shouldn't be taking this seriously until at least we get a macro breakdown, especially given the fact that the monthly chart doesn't show us the same thing, right? So that's kind of my I guess me addressing the 2-week chart RSI has marked the top argument. I think it's a little bit stupid, particularly for the reason I listed last there. The fact that the monthly chart has the same exact line, it's a more important chart, we have not seen the top there. You can almost ignore the first 2 points I made and just look at this one, but I think the first 2 points actually add context as well. Right, moving into what I think is the most important thing right now. And I'm just going to give you a brief recap because I really have discussed this many times now, but I will not just stop discussing it because, again, it's the most important thing. And the most important thing in the charts, in my view, does not change because I've already discussed it once and I don't want to do it again. It remains important until it's resolved. What is important? Well, we know for a fact that Bitcoin has a macro structure here. The macro structure is a descending channel formation. Previously speaking, we thought it was some sort of horizontal structure. That turned out to be false after July especially, right? It's a macro descending channel formation. And the two support lines that are holding up the bottom of the descending channel formation, including the actual bottom of the channel formation itself, are the yellow line stemming back from 2018. Very important yellow line. I'm circling retest points. You can see the importance there. And the yellow line stemming backwards from October 2023. Very important line. Again, mark the bottom right here. The 2018 line marked the bottom on a daily candle. You can't see it because we're on the weekly chart. It's kind of irrelevant right now. The point I'm making is all the 3 lines on the screen, the channel and the 2 ascending support lines, in my view, are the most important lines right now on the price chart. And as you can see, eventually we will get to a point where the channel collides with these ascending support lines and Bitcoin will need to make a move to the upside or a downside. But that could be many, many months away. In fact, it could be in April next year, right? So how do we get a more direct view? Like, when will Bitcoin be moving? We need to find a way to narrow this down a little bit further because it's very unlikely that Bitcoin continues in a channel, of course, until April next year. I mean, that would be absolutely ridiculous. Right, what we can look at is the weekly chart RSI, and I think we should look at the weekly chart RSI because the weekly chart RSI, just like what we looked at in the monthly chart, is very, very insightful for Bitcoin price action. What we can see historically is we have this major ascending support line from 2018. Every single bounce has led to a macro bottom on Bitcoin, literally every single one, right? But what we also notice is that there are descending resistance lines that form on the weekly chart RSI that are very, very insightful as well. So I'm going to draw out a few right now, then I'll show you what we've done. Right, let me draw out 3 of them just to show you here. And there's more, but I'll just draw out 3. One of them led to the bottom of the COVID drop and the start of a bull market when we broke it to the upside. This one right here. This one right here led to literally the bear market bottom, right, and a move to the upside. And this one right here led to literally the move that drove us upwards to all-time highs that we saw in March this year, right? So why is this important? Well, it's important because we have a triangle formation, a new fresh resistance line forming on the RSI that is reaching an apex point in the middle of September, meaning before the middle of September, we will be breaking the weekly chart RSI triangle either to the upside or to the downside, and that will, as it has done in the past, very likely lead to a macro range breakout. For example, if we break to the upside, we will likely break the entire macro range to the upside and continue the bull market. If we break to the downside, we will very likely break the entire macro range to the downside and continue, or trigger, I should say, a bear market. So when we saw the weekly candle close 6 hours ago, I was very intensely watching the charts because I saw how close Bitcoin was to breaking below this weekly chart line. All it would have taken is Bitcoin just stooping downwards another 3 or 4% below 56K, and this weekly chart line would have broken, and that would have meant bad news for the weekly chart RSI, and hence potentially bad news for the price chart. This, in my opinion, is the most important thing you can watch right now, and until it breaks, that will not change. The weekly chart RSI is an exceptionally accurate indicator. When it breaks lines on price chart as well. 9 times out of 10, there's very few failures there. There are failures, but there's very few. So all eyes on this. So guys, I hope I covered these topics well. 2-week RSI, I don't see as a major threat. Look, it potentially is a threat, but it won't be possible for us to validate that until hindsight's already shown us that to be true, because of the fact that the monthly chart RSI is the exact same thing. It's a more important chart and it hasn't triggered a top yet. I do think the simple reality that people need to come to terms with is if the top actually was here in March, nothing showed us that. Right, not a single formula, not 5.3, not an indicator, not an RSI, not anything showed us that was the top. But luckily, that's not the case yet. Luckily, we're still in a macro bull market. This is still a macro bullish consolidation range. It should break to the upside. You know, if we're just talking about probabilities, doesn't mean it has to. It certainly could not do so. But the reality is, if it does break to the downside, rest assured to a certain extent that you didn't really make a mistake by not getting out of the market here, because nothing really showed us that we would have. You know, this would be a break of all historical macro trends, all cyclical trends, literally everything. So there's only so much you can do as an analyst. You have to trust the charts, and that's what we're doing. We're trusting the charts all the way until they actually confirm themselves to be untrustworthy on this scenario. So guys, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Please go ahead and check out the exchanges like I mentioned at the start of the video. Referral links are down below for 15% trading fee discounts. Global non-KYC, they've never been hacked before. They're very low in trading fees. Check out the links down below. Then we have the VIP group on Telegram. If you want altcoin trading signals 5 times a week, you can get them on my VIP group on Telegram. For $309 you'll get access until April 2025. If you're interested in that, go ahead and do it. We've got also the second last thing I'll mention is Become a Trader 10-unit course. It's named Become a Trader because if you do this course, you can become a trader. It's got everything you need to become a trader. Got TA, got FA, it's got market psychology, literally everything is there. So check that out if you're interested. It's on sale right now actually for a limited time. And finally, my YouTube channel, my second channel where I do podcast content, JS Quinn. If you're interested in checking out my podcast content, just did a video recently on religion, proper way to have religious debate, looking into philosophical principles, metaphysics, etc. You can check that out as well. Guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you soon.